Hey y'all, hey. So travel to Louisiana, New Orleans with me. For those of you who didn't know, I was previously a community organizer for a Black women led reproductive justice organization that focused on reproductive justice for Black women, femmes, and girls. And so we had a abolishing patriarchal violence retreat in NOLA, and this is my experience from the retreat. And so just come with me and spend the next few days in NOLA with me as I attend this abolishing patriarchal violence retreat. One of the things I like about NOLA's airport, it is fairly organized. So I'm just walking through the airport now looking for like the ride shares and stuff like that because I do have to go meet the other senior organizer. I also wanted to include like a hefty portion of driving through the city of NOLA, like the streets of NOLA. It looked very festive, and this was my first time being in a community where like the houses were all like colorful, and it just had like a very nostalgic feel to it. And y'all know, like, I'm a nostalgic girl. I love nostalgia. I love that pretty stuff. So it was like a very old time, pretty feel to it. So at this point, we had pulled up to the hotel. It was myself and the senior organizer, and the Uber driver was letting us know where we need to go in the city. He was a native, so he was telling us like the different restaurants and stuff that we should go. So we stayed at Hotel St. Peter and Paul, and I think I want to do a separate video for the hotel review because I have had some other hotel review experiences, and I did one on my channel previously. So I'm not going to go in full detail because I want to keep with the vlog and stuff, but I will let y'all know. Like I said, we stayed at Hotel St. Peter and Paul. It had the very old time to be expected NOLA feel just from like the decor, like how the closet was, the bed was, from like it was like a very antique feel. It was like giving me NOLA, just NOLA, very festive. So I'm gonna take y'all around. Went into the bathroom. It was, it was cute. And so, like I said, I'm gonna do a separate hotel review, but this is just my hotel and showing y'all where I stayed and stuff like that. So right here, I had went downstairs to the senior organizer's room because we had separate rooms. And she, being a senior organizer and was with the org longer, her room was a little bit more decked out, honey. And so I made sure to get the video of that. You see, she got the roundabout stairs up in hers. It was bigger. It was more prettier, honey. It was a tad bit more spectacular. But it was well deserved on her part. She does so well with the work that we do. And so, yeah, this is just me getting some footage of her room. This is the downstairs area of the hotel, but like I said, I'll do a full review in a different video. Okay, so the Uber driver had told us about this restaurant called Willie Mae's, and so we went, and that was our first dining out experience that we had while in NOLA, and we were very pleased with what we ordered. It was a native staple. Willie Mae's is very popular amongst the natives, and it's where a lot of the tourists go to get that good NOLA food, and so we both got all of their populars. So the red beans and rice, which was spectacular. I don't think I ever had red beans and rice like that. This is just an overview of the restaurant, like the guests that was there, stuff like that. It was like a really cozy home feeling, good food, good vibes, good natives, good everything. It was Willie Mae's was a vibe. So I really enjoyed myself. So I wanted to come on here to briefly explain this. So what you see here, first of all, we are at the house where the Abolishing Patriarchal Retreat is happening. These are individuals from the organizations as a collective. So you have my organization and countless other organizations there. And right now we are brainstorming a timeline. So we are coming up with the ideas and the visions of what we want to see for the future with how we will abolish patriarchal violence and a whole bunch of cold, nice ass Black women. Excuse my language. Y'all know I be trying not to cuss really, but stuff like this get me amped up. Like, it was such a good therapeutic experience. Anybody that does any type of field work, on the ground work, any form of activism or legislation or lobbying, you know, just the internal fulfillment that you get from doing work like this. But right now, we were in a multi-generational house with several rooms that we had used as quiet pods and things like that. It was a whole experience. So I'm just showing y'all around the house. And I do have enough footage to do a separate video of a multi-generational house, because that was my first time being in a multi-generational house. Before that, I didn't even know what that was. But yeah, this is me just giving y'all an overview of where we stayed for the retreat. The APV table also had a in-house chef that prepared the breakfast and lunch and dinner for the retreat days, which was dynamic. Of course, she gonna be a Black woman, honey, and she cooked it up, and it was really nice. So I have footage throughout the vlog of the meals that she made and stuff like that, but it was really good. Oh, and she had great, amazing vegan dishes too. I had to kick my shoes off and go in that backyard and get up in that hammock. They had a beautiful hammock in the back. Yeah, I'ma just go on and get one of everything. Okay, so this is when we met up at one of our meeting locations in NOLA, and we were brainstorming about our upcoming task in our respective cities. This is a gathering that we did on a holistic level, more for kind of like what you would have a praise and worship in church, kind of something similar to that. But it was more of the African feel. Now, typically, I kind of always exclude myself from that because I have a relationship with Jesus Christ, and everyone has their own spiritual beliefs and doctrines. And when you're doing work in nonprofit, especially Black nonprofit, you have an expansive belief system with individuals regarding spirituality. So I did just want to throw that out there. But this is how typically we begin and end retreats and things like that when we are when we are doing grassroots work in nonprofit. So yeah. So this is our tour of the New Orleans African American Museum. The museum was packed, chocked full of history and amazingness. And so I'm going to give y'all an overview of the museum, what's inside. It was led by a tour guide who knew so much history about NOLA, and it was really a beautiful experience.
Morrison was unintimidated by industry dominated by men, embracing the depletion of blackness. So So this is a male-dominant state of the industry. These are considered like machines. Look how large this camera is. And she was unintimidated. On this side of the wall is two prominent photographers in the city of New Orleans. One, you know, like we are familiar with the Green Book. This is sort of like the Woods Directory, and it lists dressmakers, milk identified, and those are the ones that's in the hall.
Yeah.
Hey,
they're just coming back and they're coming down now.
okay. Whenever you have a different
Sounds great. So that's, this is not the, this is the one actually, that's her personal address.
This is her first video. Yeah, it's called to her name at the time. Her last name is Bertrand. Her second husband, Collins, for her business, but we like to do her thing. What her first husband was like. So yeah, can you imagine what her business? Entire Louisiana colony, which made up 13 states and 2 Canadian provinces. Haiti as a colony, as it relates to sugar, was the most profitable colony in all of the Western Hemisphere among all of the colonizers of colonial empires. More Louisiana, even though its size was large, it had no financial value. It wasn't profitable the way Haiti was. If you was an enslaved African captive, brought over across the land, you found your way in Haiti or Barbados, and your life expectancy was 7 years time. Life was very hard. In most parts of the South, cotton was king. In Southeast Louisiana, it was sugar. Louisiana had the most plantations than any other state in the union. When we think, anybody ever heard of Cancer Alley? This is area between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, but it kind of extends beyond the city. It used to be called Plantation Alley because of all of the plantations, like plantation country. It's called River Road or Plantation Road. So we often think about the violence of slavery being tied to plantations. The violence of slavery is also tied to rural areas. You're under much more scrutiny and surveillance. You have more intense residential confinement. Not one is better. People often ask me, Shana, after Hurricane Katrina, what is your New Orleans? I said, what do you mean? What year did New Orleans stop to exist? My friend Tia Simone Gardner asked me, and I said, I don't understand your question. So she said, in 1968, when Dr. Martin Luther King died, the city of Birmingham stopped existing because people could not engage Birmingham beyond Dr. King's. I said, but he died in Memphis. She said, same difference. Selma, Birmingham, Montgomery, all tied together. So she said, is your year, your win New Orleans is in 2005. And I was like, oh, you asked the wrong person because I'm a historian. So I would say there's this year, this year, this year. But I would say the New Orleans of 2005, in terms of how people enter the city, as when they Hurricane Katrina, is similar to the New Orleans of 1803, when the United States took possession. Sex, slavery, and sugar was dominant frameworks. Life came in suffering. People came here, a lot of Americans, because they never saw slavery out in public. Unlike most southern cities, you had a town center auction block where people bought and sold. Here in New Orleans, it was not no one place, any and everywhere. You can buy enslaved people, they would line them up on the street. You could be purchased in a private home, at a hotel, at a hospital, at a market, at a school, at churches, at slave depots, and slave pens. It was all about buying and selling. I have for you use these slave quarters as part of short-term rentals. As short-term rentals, that oftentimes militaries advertise and say you can also make money off of your property. There's this legislator, a senator in Louisiana, black person, he introduced a bill in committee to have the word slavery removed from the Louisiana State Constitution as it relates to prisons. And he wanted to replace slavery with hard labor. It passed the committee and it passed the House, and it's going up for a vote for the general population. This is some dangerous shit. I have a lot to say. It is controversial about monuments and name changes. We have to be very careful and strategic. Now, if slavery is removed, now you go to the general public, nobody wants to be associated with slavery, wants slavery to be gone, right? So the masses might say, let's get rid of it. Why is that dangerous?
Erasing that history.
Erasing the history. That's that revisionist displacement shit. Two, if we want to make claims for reparations, how can we? Slavery don't exist because we didn't remove this shit, right? And it goes back to even with some of these monuments, how do we not let what happened happen? But when we remove everything and wipe it clean, then it comes across like it never really happened. So how do we hold space and get these racist structures off the street and tell the story? But sometimes you can remove a statue, like that one is Benville, still standing. There's a street called Benville. There's a neighborhood called Benville Basin. How far are we willing to go, right? The Treme community itself is named after an enslaver, Treme, Claude Treme. He went to jail. He killed an enslaved person, served 5 years. Now, he didn't serve 5 years because he killed that black person. He served 5 years because he eliminated somebody's property. That's what that, So I got a few things to share with you guys. And there's another one with attached state quarters. So again, it begs the question, what is the relationship between enslaved people that live here and those that live here versus those that, what was their relationship? And how do we think about this intersection, right? Literally, an intersection of violence and control, surveillance. Your every movement is constantly being watched. And despite that, people still took risks to self-emancipate. Some were successful, some were not, but they still did. But I get it. So y'all can see these pictures on each side.
No, I get what you were saying too.
Also, to point out, you don't have to have a big mansion to own other human beings. So a lot of enslaved people in this area was if you was in the city, you was highly skilled workers. Blacksmiths, a lot of iron work in the quarter was made by the same people.
Oh, that's where that word skilled workers
when we talk about
from.
photography with Florentine Collins, I know that was enslaved people and people of color who was also photographers in 1840. Their information just hasn't been reported. And so how do we think about landscapes like this as also archives? Because you're not going to find a lot of this visually seen in the book. It won't be recorded the same way, right? In 1941, and prior to that is the former Storyville site. Storyville was the only red light district, legalized red light district in the United States. From 1890, in the Navy, there was a draft, and a lot of men at the time used the term venereal disease. So a lot of men had STIs, and if they didn't claim the women to shut down. Now there was 2 Storyvilles. This was the one a lot of black jazz musicians played in this area, but they could not be patrons. So it was a lot of mostly white and also light-skinned sisters and brothers who were sex workers. They used terms like NOLA or those things. And then where City Hall is, just a few blocks this way, that was the black story. But it all got shut down. We crossed Rampart, there was actually a train station, so it was very common. The houses on the front, the saloons, women would have their legs open out in the windows, the sailors would come through on the train, peep out the scene, get off, and out. But this is also the housing development that I grew up in. So I am very comfortable. Thank you. Also, we'll just be chilling on the side, not just be talking. Our engagement in this neighborhood is very different than it would be in a French quarter. I can make people walk around us, but if residents come, especially black ones, we'll move to the side. So why are we here? Again, we went from the 1700s, 1800s, we crossed Rampart, so it was almost like we crossed it back in time to the 1900s. Just talking about Storyville. And then after the war, that was the Great Depression. And what was done to get us out of social safety net. And in the 80s, like 40 years later, Reagan wiped that out in terms of when we think about Reaganomics. I have this on the chart as well. But even though the New Deal era ushered in a lot of great policy like Social Security, and people could get a 30-year home mortgage, it also was an era of a lot of contradictions. This is what we see. The Homeowners Loan Corporation established these basic book, boring, not so great to look at. This is responsible for the racial wealth gap that exists in our country today, alongside slavery. This is the document that was used to determine if you got a mortgage or not. Predatory lending, predatory inclusion. A lot of this is directly tied to this book right here. More so, way more so than redlining maps. Redlining maps was instrumental in determining where public housing development.
It was a restaurant that we went to for dinner. I don't remember the name of it, but it was very underwhelming. Like, it was not memorable at all. I just had basic wings and fries. And then I did get their baked potato and fish and shrimp and things like that. It was just not memorable. So it was decent. Okay, honey, and we cannot go to NOLA without checking out Bourbon Street. So the senior organizer that I was with, she had already been there. This was my first time, and we went on a whim because, like I said, we was down there for the APV retreat, and so we didn't really have a lot of time solo on our own. So after work, like, it was a long work day, and we left the next morning, so we only had that night to go check out Bourbon Street. And so I had told her I never went. And she was like, yes, let's go. Let's check it out. Honey, it was like real different. But I sped up all the videos because it's like so much music and I don't want to get any copyrights or anything like that. I'm still learning how that works. So you're going to see all of my videos sped up because they got some of everything. They got some Drake, they got some Tizzy Roll, they got some of everything, honey. And I do not want to get strike for nothing. So yeah, we hit Bourbon Street. This is my senior organizer. She is lit, turned. We had stopped at the daiquiri bar. And yeah, it was just a whole vibe. So I really enjoyed myself. So y'all know I had to put some of that footage in there. All right, y'all. So after we got finished hanging out on Bourbon Street, we decided to go get something to eat at one of the restaurants. I think this is called NOLA Cookery. I'm trying to look at the menu because I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but we decided to stop into here. The restaurants are open really late. This was the last restaurant that we went to while we were in NOLA. We were very satisfied. Their food was good. Again, we had to run that back with the red beans and rice. No, I think this is gumbo. Yeah, that was gumbo. This is my co-worker's plate. Then I did get a drink. Yeah, so all in all, I enjoyed the food. We got a few shots, honey. And yeah, we just enjoyed our little selves. And this was my plate. I got the shrimp and fries, hush puppies, and then that's my co-worker. She got some type of pasta, and then we hit the strip again. And yeah, that's that.
Angela, Marcus, there's